The 2021 virtual Buzetski Dani hill climb is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, A-Stick Sim Sport, ESTV, and Motorvision.tv.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
You don't quite know how this works. It's a 2-hour session basically, but we're catching the last half an hour of it so that we can see what the running order is going to be. The fastest car will go first and the slowest will go last, and then we'll be then we'll be able to go for real here. And this particular event has all 3 heats, all 3 trips up the mountain are going to count here this evening in this hill climb event, which is going to make it very difficult indeed. It's quite difficult to really classify this climb. Normally we'd say something like it's quite twisty at the start and straightens out towards the end, or vice versa, or twisty through the middle but fast start and end, or whatever it is. But it's very difficult. It's very consistent in terms of the way this climb drives, really. There's no real massive changes in what happens in each particular corner, so there's not much to comment on in that particular aspect. However, if we do get a longer shot of a particular or one singular driver, then we are going to have a better view of the fact that it gets very narrow towards the end. The walls are quite close here anyway, as you can see in this slow-mo shot of Pascalis Angelopoulos going for a bit of a topple over, but if we stay with the car towards the end, you'll really see the narrowness of this actual climb. So we'll hopefully get a view of that sooner rather than later, but that is going to add a challenge for these guys, as well as the walls close in, and they know, of course, that all of the times are going to count here on this particular occasion. Looking as well at who could possibly be a contender here today for particular victory. Let's have a look at the standings though. This might give us an idea to start with before we look at the qualifying times. This is the team standing, which has been closing over the last 2 races. Actually, 9 points taken off 4 weeks ago, and 2 weeks ago, 18 points taken off the lead of Equipe Rigo by GSR team. It's really becoming down to those 2, really. But even so, 42 points with 2 races remaining. It is still quite close there. Sebastian Renat, as I've already said, has been crowned already champion of E2 SCSS 3000, so there's not much to worry about there at all. And there isn't much to worry about in the E2 SS 2000 category either, with Chris Bennett walking that one on his own. This is the interesting one though. The closest championship of the 6 is Tobias Bashador's slender 16-point lead over Antonis Paranopoulos. It's just down to those 2 as well. Alexandre 50 points behind. He can score 50 points, but Bashadorf has already got more race wins, or more event wins, so would win on countback anyway. Alexandre definitely confirmed out of this championship fight, and we've known that for quite a few weeks now, since he's not been able to lift himself up past 3rd position since round 3, which is becoming quite a long time ago. In Group H, which started off as easily the closest of the championships, has now started to spread out a bit, with 62-point margin between John Spider and Vincent Tukula. Spider clinched that title 2 weeks ago. The Frenchman did all he could by winning the event, but it wasn't enough in the end, and Spider has been crowned champion in that one, as has Javier Rodriguez as well. The Spaniard in E1 2000 has managed to take that championship and has nearly got as many points as Sebastian Renat. I know they're in different championships, but he's still nearly got as many as him at the moment. So a very deserving winner of E1 2000 as well, looking to hold off Valadis Corrales again here for the 2nd week in a row, or the 2nd race in a row, because that's the 1 and 2 that we've seen on 5 occasions this season. Looking at qualifying right now, it may well happen again here today. So then, we have got to just over 20 minutes to decide who is going to be a real contender here in Croatia this week. Is it going to be the number 1, 2, 3 of one of the E1 2000 cars? Angelopoulos, is it going to be? Quite possibly. We'll wait and see, of course. Bashadorf is going to be there as well in that category. 2.1 seconds behind at the moment, but, oh, excuse me, a little bit more than that. But, yes, he's going to be in contention. Group H, as always, seems to be very wide open, but it's Andros Rossivalon Mitko Christoph, who are doing the best so far. And Javier Rodriguez has got 1.2 seconds in hand over Corrales at the moment in this qualifying time. But let's see if we can stay with one of the cars here. Mark Best of the fastest category, so we can really get an idea in just over 2 minutes as to what this climb is really going to be like. It's got a great mix of straight sections and hairpins, all intermixed throughout the course instead of in a designated part of the actual climb. You can already see just quite how narrow it is coming up here, and this isn't even the worst bit just for the moment. He's currently leaving the small, I guess, village you would say, of Juicy, I'm going to go for, and climbing all the way through Vidasi and through Marinzi, through 4 towns actually, or through 4 villages, which is quite impressive, but up towards Sveti Donat, which is at the real top of this climb. Not there yet, but as we've seen with most of the climbs here this season, 5 kilometres in length, only gaining 250 metres, which is a 5% average gradient for the duration. And it means a finish at only 300 metres above sea level. It's really not very far above sea level at all. Here, we're not a million miles away from the Adriatic coast either, but you can already see through some of these small villages, it does get quite narrow coming up through some of these, and it does get worse in a few moments' time. This is one of the steeper hairpins, if you can even call it that. It's more of a right-handed bend and pitches upwards again to another tight corner, and then another one. They come thick and fast, but it doesn't mean you can't open the taps on this course at all. You do get a bit of speed up, as Best is showing to us right now. He's currently, I believe, about 8 seconds down on Sebastian Renat, who's been the class of the field so far. But you never know. Best could be getting his victory. Here's the turning onto an even narrower road. Just look at this. It's barely a car's length wide. Wouldn't want to be. I certainly wouldn't want to be driving down this in a public situation with cars coming the other way, because this is barely wide enough for one, and you're just going straight down the middle of someone's village here into the finish, and you've not got much space to slow down either. It's a very, very precarious ending to the course, and you can just see it there as the car pitches upwards quite dramatically for Mark Best. That lap time there was actually his best of the day. Now brings himself to within 7.5 seconds of where he has been in the past, or where he was previously. This is Eric Tuttle, who does have quite a big job on today, even though he's out of the Group H Championship, which is not really going to affect anything at the moment. He is in a team with Sebastian Renat, currently leading by 42 points ahead of GSR team Antonis Paranopoulos and Valdis Corrales. After 1 win and 1 second place for the two of them 2 weeks ago, have really closed that margin down. So it's going to be an interesting fight. This is Rodriguez. Using the wheel drive of that Honda to power his way through and, well, try and keep himself stable as you can. Turning out to be a little bit tricky on occasion for a couple of these guys anyway. And going up to the 1-2-3 of Angelopoulos. Oh, he's just got into the wall and straight off. I presume there's some suspension damage that was incurred during that hit on the barriers, because that was not normal at all. To see him spearing off to the left hand side there, and his bodywork is still in the way for the 44 of Mitko Christoph, who's just under half a second down on the class leader at the moment. And Bashadov as well, doing his best to hold on to this lead he has in the carriage. second place in qualifying at the moment. I'm never really sure how hard these guys are actually trying in these sessions, because the running order is not a huge advantage. There's not a massive advantage to going last, for example. Otherwise you'd see nobody qualifying, of course. But goodness me, that was committed. Yeah, it's just it can be an indicator, but it also be a bit of bluffing from the two. And even so, a good qualifying performance doesn't mean you're going to go well in the heats, because you can't drop any of your times. You've got to keep them all. So, no mistakes can be made, like we saw with Tobias Bashadov 2 weeks ago in Slovenia. In case you weren't with us, it was the final corner of the second heat for the championship leader, and just went off a little bit, went a little bit wide and straight into the barriers. One of the front wheels came off and he didn't manage to get it to the finish line. And so with all 3 heats counting on that occasion as well, that was it for him. He's trying his best here though. The commitment needed is quite staggering, and Bashadov has got all of that right now. Very close to the wall again. The final corners and over the line. What can Nagiet Andre do to maybe salvage a season? It's not going to end in a championship for him, but he hasn't been able to win since the second race of the season. And after 2 or 3, maybe 4 rounds, possibly 5, I suppose, we were looking like a very, very close championship between those two in this category, but it's turned out to be Paranopoulos who's surprised a little bit, I have to say, to getting the conversation. But not a nasty surprise at all. It might be for Bashadov, but for the neutral, it's very, very good news indeed. Not much room for error in here this time, and last time we saw that Bashadov was no points next to his name. We saw a similar situation in the Czech Republic actually, with the most attritional hoop climb we saw probably all season, apart from the last round maybe, but possibly even more attritional than that. You can see how this course might be able to claim a few victims. Here is the Ford of Paranopoulos. You've also got to think about the differences between the cars. Is that playing a role in any of the results that we've seen in this season? I find it hard to believe somewhat, because they're well matched, the two cars anyway, and a lot more down to driver skill, you would say. But you've got to wonder if it's playing a role. Certainly this Ford doesn't look like it would be for everybody. If you can't stand a bit of oversteer, you'd prefer a bit of downforce rather than kicking the rear end out to get through corners, then this doesn't look like your thing at all, really. Looking at some of the sliding he's had through the hairpins, it was fairly calm and considered, but it's not all been like that. Like example, case in point there, really. It is sometimes tricky to do that kind of thing while going uphill, especially if you're only rear-wheel drive. You just not quite got that momentum, really, that a four-wheel drive car that would have, and it just doesn't look quite as smooth, really. Paranopoulos making it work where he can, as you can see. Oh, a little bit maybe over the top there. But you can't really leave anything on the table in this championship battle. It is absolutely tooth and nail at the moment through the final corner, which is one of the most dangerous out of them all. And he completes another run there, Paranopoulos. Working on consistency is as important as getting faster, really. He's got 1.7 seconds over Tobias Bashadov right now. Him in a good way to start off this first heat coming up. He's even in front of Antoine Corrati, by the way, in the class above him, as we see very off Avanza not having a good time, we'll put it that way. I suspect that won't be the last time we'll be seeing that kind of thing. Hey, tonight there'll be some cars limping over the line, I'm sure. So we'll just try and figure the names out, by the way, on the captions here in the next few moments. We'll have to do without pictures just for the moment while we get that sorted out. But the qualifying session, I can assure you, is still going on with the 27 cars still entered out there on the climb here in Croatia. Juraj Hernandez is the 14th of 14 Group H cars, so more than nearly half the field, I should say, is from that category, which is great to see the kind of not growth of that one, because it has been a very large category from the very start, really, but there's plenty of them here today. We just need to try and work out who we think is going to be best out of everybody in that particular class. I guess the best place to start is with Rosenval and Christoph. We're just seeing a shot of the latter going through a couple of the corners. He's going fairly well today. Andreas Pullabarrett there as well. Champion John Spider, 4th place in qualifying at the moment. Eric Tatol just behind him, and he'll be worth keeping an eye on for the Teams Championship, which is really starting to hot up now. The top two, as suspected, in E1 2000, Rodriguez and Corrales are a little bit further away from the rest than might expect, but again, it's not overly surprising either. Looking like a very new car to the grid here this week with the Alfa Romeo 75. We briefly saw there of Nelson Simos. Good to see him out there, but good to see Tatol as well. Esteban Morales is definitely going to need his help. And here's Corrales in a direct... Oh dear, hopefully not doing too much more of that here this evening, because Corrales is going to be needed by Paranopoulos, who's fighting for a win in his category. If you can do that and cancel out the win in Ronat's category, then they'll be laughing. But 40 points, over 40 points with only 2 rounds to go, is looking like a fairly tall order at the moment. You never know what will happen, I guess, at the end of the day. Here are a couple of the fastest cars that are out there lining up to get ready and set a qualifying time here. Corretti will be at least hoping to pull himself into the top 3, which he's done very recently, but staying there as well. He's only 1.2 seconds in front of the E1 plus 2000 leaders. It's not where we're used to seeing. It was a rare 3rd place for Corretti last time out. He's only got a 3-point advantage over Mark Best in that E2 3000 class, after 3 second places in a row. So he'll be looking to improve massively, really. Let's see if he can, though. He's in the slightly heavier and less powerful Norma, which hasn't been able to take a victory this season, and hard to see that one actually being able to as well, really. I've been informed from Mark Best, by the way, while we're looking at Francois Corretti, that Corretti has a broken hand, apparently, so really driving with only half of his limbs. Well, half his limbs, I'll say that. Half of his arms, anyway. And shifting with the buttons, apparently, instead of any other way of doing it, because Obviously, so he's got one hand to do this with, so it will be a very good effort from him, in my opinion, to just get to the end of this. Never mind with any kind of good result compared to Mark Best. So, yeah, broken hand is not ideal, certainly. Especially in sim racing, I guess it's the most important aspect of your body, I suppose. But there we are. That's the way the look of the draw goes. Really, a real shame for him, but he's doing well and driving pretty well despite his issue at the moment. Not quite as well as Sebastian Ronat, but then again, nobody has been so far this season, and I don't think anybody will before the end. It's very hard to see him losing a race for the first time, or should I say not winning a race for the first time since the very first round of the season. All the way back in June, maybe? May? June? It's a long time ago now, and he's got very used to winning. And there's no reason to suspect why he won't continue to do that today. That's why Karate is over the line again. I'm afraid it's not quite as good as his previous lap time, 7 tenths slower than his previous best, which is a 14.9. Looking at Aggie's Henry, he's got a very big gap to the guys behind, but fairly sizable one to the ones in front as well. So he's struggling, certainly. Putting it fine there a little bit, just not to straight the barriers and doing it again there, goodness me. Just need to be careful. These inside walls can be just as damaging as the outside ones if you run it just a little bit too close. The 118 sets off, and you can see the queue of cars getting ready to go, and as the qualifying session comes to an end, they're getting less and less patient with actually beginning. Yeah, obviously there are limits on what they're supposed to do, what they can and can't do. But it is going to be quite busy out there now with the final moments of qualifying for us. And Josh Rossabaro's had a good session so far. It looks like he's going to be going first of those in Group H. On this day that is going to be 3 heats and all of them counting towards the overall time of the competitors. So a very difficult day ahead especially for a good 5 of the drivers who are still in contention for a championship here at the moment. Don't forget you can join us in a couple of weeks' time. We'll be having the championship finale. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. Wasn't initially supposed to be there, but we're supposed to be having it here this week in Croatia, but that has not been the case here this year. And move back a couple of weeks so we can fit all 12 races in, and it should be a very good finale by the way this championship is certainly shaking out at the moment. The page is shaking out to be pretty close today by the looks of things, although Rostoval is leading. It's just 4 tenths that he has over the field. Christoph leading them. Spider there, just improved recently. Polibauer has been bumped down to 4th place. Eric Tattel struggling to break into the top 4, although he has gone off the road ever so slightly there, as you can see. And Angelopoulos getting ready in the queue on the left-hand side as well. So plenty of drivers trying to get themselves through here. Polibauer, you can see, ending up in the trees, I'm afraid. slow-mo, and yeah, it's just misjudged it and got a little bit wrong, I'm afraid. Very wrong, actually. I went for him on that occasion. This is Angelopoulos, so it's a good view on board as to what we can expect here this evening. There's a bit of downhill there, and explain a lot about the fairly shallow gradient that we're seeing here today. Really, not too much to speak of, I suppose. But it's considered drive from Angelopoulos, who's certainly going to struggle to break into the podium, you would imagine, without issues for some of those in front. He's a good 6 seconds off Andre at the moment. That's never mind the leading two. The prominent duo that we've seen, into the grass ever so slightly, into barriers. Struggled to get out of them. Damage for Angelopoulos, and that's where he's going to be starting in the running order. Corrales looks like he's pretty set on where he's going to be as well. Well, we always knew Sebastian Renal was going to be first to go off. Oh goodness, that was actually a hit into the barriers that we caught at the very start off. So his final run for him not going great, but it'll been a success for him in this session. Some big crashes, it has to be said. Remains to be seen whether these guys are going to tone it down for the actual heats, or whether this is what it's going to be like throughout the entirety of the evening. Let's wait and see on that one. Still a couple of drivers leaving the pit lane at the moment. I think Matteo Fellastorg is one of those. I'm sure he's recently started and making his debut here. Fazio Massetti as well was in that category, making his debut. Louis Lecroix seems to be a new face to this category. Maybe David Aguirre is as well. Not entirely sure, but if so, then it's 4 debutants in one class by the looks of things. Trying to tell if that's true or not. It could well be. Considering the 26 drivers who are raring to go at the moment, it could well be that those guys are making their debut here today. In qualifying, it's very close to coming to an end now as well. The final times are going to be coming in, and Heat 1 is going to be beginning very shortly. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back we will have the first runs of this penultimate hill climb of the year.
The 2021 virtual Buzetski Dani Hill Climb is presented in partnership.
Oh no.
The 2021 virtual Buzetski Dani Hill Climb is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, A-Stick Sim Sport, ESTV, and MotorVision.tv.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
athlete. A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Welcome back to the penultimate hill climb of the year. It's the Buzetski Dani in Croatia, and we're settling a couple of championships as well. Maybe not here today, but certainly over the next 2 weeks, where we'll be having our finale. It's going to be settled all there. We're coming towards the end of qualifying right now, and we've had a few moments in the break, as you can see. Agnes Andre losing one of his front wheels was a bit of a story. So for Asborg not having the greatest of times either, as well, as you can see in the Peugeot there. But yeah, there's a lot of guys out there on the course as qualifying just overruns its promise ever so slightly, but it's all over now, and we're going to be getting Heat 1 underway with the 28 cars that are going to be out there. Maybe 27. It does change from time to time. Some people get lost along the way, but it's not like disconnecting out of a road race, for example. It's you can recover in a hill climb, just get yourself reconnected, and you're good to go, basically. But sooner rather than later, we're going to be seeing Sebastian Renat lead the field off for the first run of times here this evening. All of the E2 3000 cars are going to go, and then we'll see the big fight, E1 plus 2000. If Renat keeps it on the road once again here today, it's going to be his 10th hill climb win in a row in his class. And overall, I guess, but that's only because he's driving in the fastest class. But either way, it's a very impressive record for the Frenchman, who's looking to not only seal, well, he has already sealed that one, but he's not only looking to be first in that category, he wants to take it all and win in the team's championship as well. The idea is that with the help of Eric Chattel, he's going to be able to do that. Just needs to be within 50 points, or GSR team, should I say, just need to be within 50 points by the end of today. To at least have a mathematical chance, but it will be a very small chance if that did indeed happen. So they are going to have to be very careful of that. Here is what the weather looks like in Croatia here today. We're right in the northwest of the country. You can see kind of, well, the rain about is not really going to be touching us, but country stretching all the way along the Adriatic coast towards the bottom right hand side of your screen, with a number of the other surrounding countries in close attendance as well, and indeed the the hill climb we had not 2 weeks ago in Slovenia is very, very close to this climb here as well. So it's just a trip down the road. It's not even as the crow flies, it really is down the road geographically. And so not a long transfer between the two events for all of these guys who will have been preparing for a little while now for this one, especially if you're involved in a championship. Renat just needs to make no mistakes though in the run that he's about to do. Not sure where he is, but I don't think any of the drivers are out there setting time just yet. It'll be a little while until we get that here today, and indeed every week I should say. Final round, of course, is the only time this season we'll be visiting a country twice, with the return to Italy. We were there for the Trento Bondone in round what turned out to be round 8. But the rescheduled Coppa Paolino Teodori will be on the 6th of December, and everything will be decided there. So yeah, well worth tuning in for in a couple of weeks' time. We're now still waiting around. I'm not seeing the course car get into position yet. I'm not sure if that's just been away from our camera shots or whether that's not happened yet. I'm gonna. Well, I couldn't be sure, but for the moment there are 27 cars connected and ready to go. Or at least I believe they are. Always difficult to know with people disconnecting and people rejoining and so on and so forth. Marshall is just getting itself into position now. The Ford up on the curb and hopefully out of the way of everybody, so that Sebastian Renat can really get going. We haven't done an on-board lap for quite a few races, or not one where I be quiet anyway. And especially around here with the wall so close, you'll be able to see the sound kind of echo through the countryside. So it would be very nice to hopefully get a view on board with Renat, the clear dominant driver of any of the categories this season. Javier Rodriguez is comparable to him, but he has lost out twice on merit, so Renat only once, and he's readying himself now for a run up this climb. It's self-sorted now, and there he goes, finally off on his way. Tries to fit this very narrow, very wide Acela through some very narrow lanes here in Croatia, where you can really build up a bit of speed, as you can see there, and then really knock it all off, as you can see there. So it's a very varied course indeed, and very enjoyable one to drive, I'm sure, for everybody. One of the more enjoyable out of the round so far. But the interest is really going to pick up now as the times start to come in. You're comparing them to Mark West, of course, for a start, in the Norma, and Francois Coratti, who are in a battle of their own for second place in the 3000 category, behind Renat, of course. But they will definitely both want second, and if things were to stay as they did in qualifying for Mark West, then he would draw level heading into the final round. It'd also be a very exciting situation to be in. There's Mark Best in the smaller Norman. I think that's going to be easier to fit through the narrow roads here, but not really. Really 2 seconds behind. I'm being told, I presume that is at the first split at the moment, 1.2 seconds behind. But he's got a long way to go from there, let's not forget. Now makes his way into the real tight section. Made to look even narrow actually from this car, must be said. Keeping things on the safe side by the looks of things there. Only at 1.7, and maybe that was erring on the side of caution, as he was below 2 minutes in qualifying, but no need to go that fast really. The things at play, we'll put it that way. Mark Best is going for that right-handed turn and into the narrow section through this final village and the final corner as well, which is one of the most committed out of the lot. But over the line, was Mark Best committed quite enough? I would hesitate to say yes on that one, at least in terms of getting first place away from the Acela. It's not telling us for the moment. There we go. It just jumps forward and updates itself. So already 4.5 seconds lost for Mark Best. The real interesting ones, though, have now departed garages. Antonis Paranopoulos and Tobias Bashadov have already started their runs, and they're quite well, they're more than halfway through anyway. Makes that very narrow right-hand turn, but wonderfully controlled in that forward there, which is looks really well balanced through there. Despite the sliding, it was very controlled. Less room for that kind of thing through here. That might be where Alonso has a bit of an advantage, but that remains to be seen with Bashadov in a few moments' time. Well, Paranopoulos might well go better than Karate here with this lap time. He does indeed, a 17.5. He's very, very much close to what he managed in the qualifying. Don't really often see drivers matching themselves there, but looks like Paranopoulos has done. A bit wide there from Bashadov, and that's not good news at all. He was fastest in Sector 1, but that was a bit of a mistake. And look at how committed you have to be in this car through the final section. It's definitely going to be quicker through here, but as long as he gets it right, of course. But let's see. He comes across the line now. He's going to draw the first blood in the E1 plus 2000 category. He's about 1.1 seconds down, although I've not got an official time just for the moment. It's a 18.7. So he does take a 1.1 second hit straight away, straight off the bat there does Bashadov, which is not great news for him. But either way, it's a good start for Paranopoulos. He's fastest after the first run in E1 2000, or plus 2000. I might think that's a bit premature, me saying that already, but there's 3 drivers remaining. It's hard to see any of them bettering that lap time here at the moment. I'll give Sundray the first to attempt to do that at least. But I think that was a good 5 seconds down actually. Maybe 6. Not quite that extreme, just 3.5 seconds down, but it's still far too far to make that kind of time up. And This is Chris Bennett, who's been on his own for much of the season, racing against himself and trying to get the best time that he can, really, rather than results. Very, very cautious approach by the looks of things, just trying not to go wrong with this one. Hopefully he's got to the end safely on this occasion. Group H is going to be very interesting then, because we've got Orsival and Hristov already out there. We'll have John Spider out there as well soon, but it was a very good qualifying session to decide who's going to be going off when. Very close session in this category. Orsival is the man we're now on board with. Currently got himself up to 7th place in the championship with 2 podiums in the last 4 weeks, but 4 races, excuse me, but 4 rounds, but 2 8th places in a row for Orsival. Clearly things have gone wrong over the last month or so. Going to want to get that sorted out, really. Christoph looks like he's crashed out here already. We'll have to maybe try and get a view as to what happened there, but Mikko Hristov has returned to the garage without setting a lap time, and that's going to be his day over before it's even really begun. Looking like a fantastic challenger to Andros Orsival. We may see the Fiat walk away with it now. Here is Hristov through one of the narrower sections into the barriers and broke his car into the bank. And he's not going to be able to get much money out afterwards because he's just paid a hefty bill for that repair. It's going to be all piling into insignificance, really, as he's out already. Hristov at the first hurdle on a very, very difficult day. If that's a precursor to things to come, then there's going to be a lot of drama here this evening. Not least in Group H. Who can take that title off Orsival now? Well, not the title, but this particular round anyway. Javi Rodriguez is going to do his best to score as many points as possible as well, of course, but insignificant for him really as well, since he's already got this one wrapped up. So just having fun really, and trying to win another round of this championship. He's only not won 2 first round, and a couple of weeks ago when he turned up very late, it might have been the Bondone round actually. When he last didn't win, was indeed. It was Corrales after all that time. Excuse me, it was even Murrow. It was, excuse me. This is John Spider. He's coming towards the top right now. Polabel and Eric Tatolo also out there right now, so we'll be able to see if there are any challenges to Orsival. These 3 are the most likely contenders now that Hristov is gone. John Spider's going to put his application in first here. See if he can get anywhere near Hungarian. 27.6 for him to start with, but what about John Spider? 28.4, 8 temps down. 8 temps down so far for John Spider. Andres Polaba is now making the right and turn towards the narrow section at the end. Try and make a case for him to possibly win this one. Let's see. Look in total control there, but mostly does, I suppose. And comes over the line now. I mean, I saw 2 minute 9 down the bottom there, but that's definitely not true. It'll be a little bit slower than that. As we go on board with Eric Tuttle right now, I've got a very big job in the team's championship as the Frenchman. In the Simca Rally 3, Polybar ends with a 48.8 apparently. There's clearly something we've missed there, because that's a good 20-second loss for him. And all of a sudden, Tuttle, from looking pretty stuck in 5th position after qualifying, is going to be gaining points like no tomorrow. And all 4 of the drivers in contention for the teams are not in the same category. It does make things more complicated, but more interesting as well. At least I think so. They all are, by memory. So with a 31.8. I'm not exactly troubling the real top drivers, but still not bad at all. Morales is going to be trying to trouble the top driver in E1 2000 over the next few moments. So he's got up towards the end of the run. Looking at the 3-2-1 car though at the moment. Where did Corrales get to? It's a 31.9 for him. He's 3.6 seconds down on Rodriguez, who looks like he's going to be pushing Corrales back down into second here once again. The Greek driver hasn't been able to win a race this season because of the Honda out front, but really desperate to avoid a 6th and 2nd place. Nikos Saknias comes over the line now as well, and it's a 34.7 for him. Aguiron and Calve as well are out there in different categories, of course. E1 2000 for the Renault, much like what Corrales is driving, of course, but I don't think it's going to be going quite as quickly as Corrales was a little bit earlier on, even though he wasn't quite the top time from the first run. Waiting for the time to register for Aguiron. 32.6, which is not bad actually. Only 7 temps down on Corrales there. Wouldn't have been expecting that at all. Into the final third of the driver, certainly got this climb right now. This Peugeot is going to be one of the Matteo Fell Astorg car. We saw him have a bit of an issue in qualifying right before the end. Now starting to find his feet maybe. Hopefully keep it on the road, at least for this first one. I think drivers might start to push the boundaries a little bit longer, or a little bit more, the longer we go into the day, but for now it's all about getting round for a lot of these guys, you imagine. Yes, it's certainly busy out there at the moment. We've only got 3 or 4 drivers who've not actually been out there at all yet. Not very many at all to be going here in the 26 car grid we have here today, because it's already lost Christoph and I believe Polibauer as well, quite possibly. I see he's going to be coming back. Already gone wrong for those. the bottom drivers from qualifying are completing their first runs. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few moments' time with the second heat here from the penultimate round of the European Hill Climb Championship.
The 2021 virtual Buzetski Dani Hill Climb is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, A-Stick Sim Sport, ESTV, and Motorvision.tv.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Welcome back to the penultimate round of the European Hill Climb Championship for 2021. It's the end of Heat 1 nearly. We've got the final few drivers out there right now. Uriah Hernandez being one of them in the Renault R8 Gordini. You can see it on your screen right now. He's had a decent season actually. That's Hernandez. His best result so far has been third place. He was on the of the Slovakian round, but yeah, he's been pretty good with that. Not been able to score major points ever since then, or any major result, but that was quite a big accident actually for somebody. Could have been John Canelopoulos there. Very short-lived day for him. He was supposed to be the final man out there and setting a lap time, and things went dramatically wrong quite early on for him actually. And given he's back to the garage now, that should be him out already by the looks of things, joining Christoph and Matteo Felastborg, I believe, or Astorg out of the first part of this, well, out of the whole event really. Not sure about Louis Leclerc to Lagaretta, because I've not seen either of those two actually out there, but I'm pretty sure the other two are confirmed as retirements. If indeed they already have been out, though, we're going to be saying bye to 5 of the drivers already in this one. 5 drivers after only one heat would be remarkable, but unconfirmed as to whether that's going to be a thing just yet. I do know as well that Polibauer is not in the session anymore after losing 20 seconds in the first heat. I'm not entirely sure if he wants to continue on, try and get a result of this or not, but it doesn't look like it for the moment. Well, the session is not being moved along just yet, so clearly there is someone who's not been out yet, who needs to. But the new session does indeed begin now, by the looks of things, quite possibly. Yes, it does. So, looks like we've lost 5 or 6 already in the first run up this climb. It's going to be a very, very attritional day by the looks of things. We suspected it would be possibly the most attritional since the Czech Republic round we had all those months ago. Cars flying off everywhere there, so including Bashadorf and Agius Andre, who were locked in a championship fight at that point. Bashadorf still is, but it's with Marinopoulos on this occasion. Bashadorf does need to continue to score points because a couple of second places would secure him the championship no matter what Marinopoulos does. 16-point margin at this stage would be enough for that. It would hold on by 2 points, but easier said than done, coming second twice in one of these events. In terms of the teams, it was a good start for Sebastian Renard, which is positive for them. Eric Tattel had a good start as well, actually. Rossival and Spider in front of him, but he's managed to beat all of the others. So first and third at the moment for Akip Rigal. The GSR team have got first and second right now, with Corrales chasing down Rodriguez and just about beating out Aguiron at the moment. So first and second will beat first and third, but only slightly. It's only a 3-point gain for GSR team, bringing it down to 39 points for the final round, but closing that kind of gap is certainly going to be tricky. As we get ready to see the man of the moment once again, Sebastian Renard taking things fairly cautiously through the first time up this climb. Maybe he'll open the taps a little bit more here, but there's no real need for him to do so. Just got to get through here and preserve the 4.5 second lead that he already has over at Mark Best, his closest rival. Mark Best, as I've already mentioned tonight, is currently drawing level with Francois Corratti, who's driving with a broken hand tonight. But draw them dead even heading into the final race, or the final round. It's a precarious situation for everybody, really. Every category involved in some championship fight, whether that's teams or the individual one. We have in E1 2000, E1 plus 2000, excuse me, the second fastest that we have here tonight. But this is Renard really pushing the boundaries, of course, but staying within them all at the same time. Trying to. Must be very hard to hold yourself back sometimes in a situation like this. Although you don't often find yourself with such a lead in the championship and a comfortable position in the teams as Renard has done here tonight. Just got to rely on his teammate to do the job as well. And Eric Tuttle is, I would say, possibly overperforming compared to what certainly I thought he was going to be able to manage in the first part of qualifying. We've got all of these cars out there, and Paranopoulos and Bashadorf now going to battle as well. You just saw the current championship leader heading off there. Sebastian Renat does indeed cross the line now. It could even be better. Oh no, it's not quite as good as he managed in the first heat, but then again, absolutely no need to go that quickly because we've not seen Mark Best even better this time throughout the day. So the real excitement, E1 plus 2000. This man has a 1.1 second lead over Bashadorf. I think the German might have his eyes on consolidating second rather than pushing for first. What to say at this stage, but it's going to be very, very close indeed, right until the very end. Bashadorf can actually clinch the title here today. Mathematically, I guess that's the possibility at any penultimate round, or to clinch the victory. But even so, Paranopoulos not going down without a fight, certainly, and the opportunity has been given to him with the retirement of his rival 2 weeks ago. He's going to try and seize it with both hands, going through the final narrow section right now. Doesn't suit the Ford quite as well as the Lancer, I wouldn't say, but what comes before it, I think Paranopoulos will be okay. Previous times for Best and Karate both come in, both of them, well, Karate actually the only improvement in that category, but Paranopoulos doesn't really need to improve and hasn't there. It's just under a 2:18, but only very, very slightly. See what Bashadorf can do, if this is going to be a wild improvement or not for him. Would obviously make it interesting and close that 1.1 second margin, but I can't see him doing it, and it's a very consistent time. It's within a tenth of his first one, but it's still another 7/10 loss, so it's a 1.8 second advantage for Paranopoulos heading into the final heat of the day. Alessandro is, oh goodness, certainly pushing himself here to do all he can and maybe get a surprise second place. It would certainly help out Paranopoulos, but difficult to see him managing that really, since he can't get below 2:20 really. That's 2:21 flat, 2:21 flat, excuse me. Not really getting involved like we saw with him earlier on in the season. As I mentioned, he's not been able to finish in what used to be his customary second place since round 3. It's been third or no points at all ever since then. It's not been a dream season for Alessandro, but in a very competitive category, he can't be too hard on himself, I wouldn't say. Bennett comes over the line again, trying to get himself as far up the overall order as possible, mixing it with the E1 plus 2000 cars. But unfortunately he's quite a long way off them on this occasion, more than 10 seconds off the leader of them. Now Group H is beginning to start all over again with Rossival. Comes into this with a 0.8 of a second lead over Spider, who are looking like the best couple of drivers in that field. The Fiat looking to take a victory here today, to add to the one they had on the Trento Bondone. He had on the Trento Bondone, I should say. going to be a difficult task to repeat that, of course, a few weeks later. Wait to see whether his second time is any better than his first, or somewhere near the same. So, relatively close, but he has lost... Well, he hasn't lost time yet, because we haven't seen Spider, but... we could well see a bit of a loss of time in a very close situation in Group H, if we're not careful. It would be entertaining to see, though. So let's hope that indeed arises. This is Spider. You can already see he's pushing out of those hairpins. The oversteer almost overcoming him. Certain points, look at this. You can only imagine the arms and legs that you can see in the cockpit at the moment, because it was not the most stable. But then again, it's the way that some of them... Oh no! Into the barriers! And in again! Oh dear, that could be the end for Spider. He'll be very glad now that he's clinched the championship early, because this is disastrous. Oh, he manages to get reverse and get going again, but there's going to be some severe damage there, and Eric Tato might be able to pick up another few points. It's turning into a dream day for Akip Rigal. Even though Spider's got his championship wrapped up already, it does still have implications for others. And that could turn out to be a very costly mistake. Roosevelt going to have a big lead now, heading into the final runs because of that mistake. Christoph, by the way, did set another lap time there. He's not going to be classified at the end of the day, but he did set another lap time in the second runs. John Spider, the time is in, and it's more than a 15-second loss. There's a 17-second lost very nearly. Not good at all. Eric Tassel then as well. Needs to keep himself on the road, and he's going to be absolutely laughing here. Let's see, final corner. No, not exactly keeping it within himself. He's really pushing through there. Not waiting around, but going to be good enough. More than good enough for second place as things stand. The guys he has behind him, I can't see them having enough to overhaul him either. The first two positions are looking pretty good as things stand. Now in E1 2000 it's looking a little bit closer. The two Renault Clios of Valdis Corrales and David Aguiron are running quite close together. So Corrales has just stepped it up a little bit on that time there. See if Aguiron has the pace to match, or whether he might fall away ever so slightly. He lost only 7 tenths in the first run, but not looking nearly as committed as Corrales, I must say. It would be very helpful for GSR team if I were to be able to get in front, but for the moment the two look like they're staying dead even in that championship, and to me that was close to the barriers. Let's see. Aguiron with a 33.4 is a little bit slower, I'm afraid, so Corrales is going to be very pleased with that. He's in a quite safe position in the standings by the looks of things. Sakinas with a fantastic improvement there, must be said. He lost 2.9 seconds in the first run, but he's gained one of those tenths back now. It's a huge improvement for him. So Calve also comes across the line, but does a lap time very, very similar to what he managed not long ago at all. just waiting for Pedro Barbosa as well to come across the line in Group H, because he's another one of those drivers who could do something here today in terms of getting maybe a top 5 in the Alfa Romeo. One of the stranger looking cars on the in the paddock, I must say, but I'm not opposed to it exactly, I wouldn't say. I guess no car really looks truly terrible in that Martini livery, really. So that's certainly helping this car, which is making its way up the mountain. And here's another bit of box work. Oh, into the barrier slightly. In the box. Oh, and off again. Not quite under control in the 127 there of Tazio Massetti, Volkswagen Golf, struggling to stay out of the barriers on a couple of occasions there. Just going to see where Barbosa's times are going to be at, really. If you can get near Calve, you might be able to do something, but other than that, it might well be 6th place, just missing out on a top 5 as things stand, but you never know. Because John Spider's slow run this time is going to set him back a fair deal, so going to be some serious head scratching going on behind the scenes there. It is slightly better though than Barbosa, so he could well be in with a shout of a top 5. Since he lost 8 seconds on the first run, he's just gained back 11.1, so he's got a 3.1 second lead over Spider for that top 5, but we'll have to wait and see throughout the final heat whether he's going to be able to hold on or not. We've got the final few runs coming in now then, but a lot of these won't count towards the end because some of the guys on your screen right now didn't set a lap time in the first heat. So while this is happening, we're going to take a quick commercial break, the final one, and then we will be with you for heat 3 and the run to the end of this hill climb.
The 2021 virtual Buzetski Dani Hill Climb is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, A-Stick Sim Sport, ESTV, and MotorVision.tv.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
right, a 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Welcome back to the penultimate European Hill Climb Championship race of 2021 here in Croatia on the Buzetski Dani in Croatia. Right, as you can see, pretty much ending us off for Heat 2, I think, here. That's all the times that have to come across. 23 were recorded. Not all of them are going to count because some of them were set by drivers who have already DNF'd from this particular event. So the final heat is going to be coming up soon, so I think we'll have one last look at the weather radar. I don't think we're going to be seeing any rain, because I'm pretty sure that the sun has just come out, to be honest, but I think to see. Showers can crop up quite easily, but not where we are, thankfully. So we're going to have another weather unaffected race here this time. Or event this time, I should say. And so it's looking very clear throughout most of Southern Europe at the moment, which is I'm sure they're enjoying at the moment. I hope it's a bit warmer than it is in the UK at the moment. I must admit, because we're all freezing. But there we are. We're entering winter, and it's going to be a bit of a winter break for these guys shortly, after racing for every 2 weeks. Now for nearly 6 months, nearly half of the year, this championship has stretched over. They'll be very glad to get some time off to spend with family and friends, I'm sure. So, not far to go now. Still a job to be done. Certainly in a few specialised cases that we've been talking about throughout the evening, but for everybody as well, because this heat does also count. All three do here this evening. And I'm just going to check as well. I believe that the final round, all three count as well. No, I'm wrong. The best two count in a couple of weeks' time, but this one does indeed still matter. Sebastian Renal will certainly know that. Despite the fact that he gained 4.5 seconds in the first run, 5.2 in the second, and 9.7 second advantage with only 5 kilometres to go. Should be enough, but he's got to do the business anyway. He's got to keep it on the road. This normally wouldn't be a consideration if it was the best two, but that's not quite the case. Best also needs to keep it on the road here to gain those 3 points back on Francois Corratti to bring them level going into the final climb of the year. Corratti, driving with a broken hand today, has really been struggling, so Best has been able to close that margin without too much difficulty, really. Shame for Corratti, but just the way it goes, I suppose, unfortunately for him. And of course, the man of the moment, Antonis Paranopoulos. A big job in his hands because that class is by no means finished. Only 1.8 seconds between himself and Tobias Bachagov. Let's wait and see how that one pans out. It's going to be a fight till the very end in E1 plus 2000, and there is the German championship leader by 16 points. Things stay as they are, it's going to be slashed to only 9 heading into the final race, but it would still mean a second place would seal it, so not all the work has been done. So 5 of the drivers out there on the course, hopefully 5 of them are able to come back again, but some quite quick waiting times here on this climb. It's not a massively long one, so I guess the The distances don't have to be massive because there's not too much time to close up on anybody. So Mark Best, despite the fact being nearly 10 seconds down, he's still giving it a go here to try and bring Norma their first victory of the season. It doesn't look like it's going to happen though, does it? We're now with a 2 minute 2.6 has actually got slower throughout the day, but I don't think it's going to matter. It would be very surprising if it did. Francois Karate this time won't matter either, as Mark Best repeats Ronat's feats of going slightly slower throughout the day. But let's see what Paranopoulos and Bajidov are up to, because those guys are the ones really fighting this one out. Yeah, victory here for Bajidov would really almost seal it, not mathematically but morally and psychologically. I think it might well do. Karate over the line, he goes. What about Paranopoulos in the Ford? The final corner is quite close to Karate really, but he won't have any knowledge of that at all. He's just focusing on the road in front and trying to preserve the 1.8 second lead that he's come in with. Getting out of the barriers through this tricky and tight final section, definitely a priority, and you could see that in his driving. He comes over the line right now. Would probably expect this to be the slowest of the day, and it was, but it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It needs to be 1.8 seconds better, does Bajidov, so a 16.3 is needed, and that will be a good nearly 2.5 seconds closer or quicker than what he's managed to do so far. Is he going to risk it all to try and seal it today? It doesn't look like he will. He comes over the line right now, and what is the time going to be? It's an 18.5. It's his best lap time of the day for Bajidov, but it's still by no means enough. Another 3 attempts added to that margin, so Paranopoulos wins it by over 2 seconds and closes the championship margin to just 9 points before the final round in Italy. What a fantastic ending to this season it's going to be in that class. Ronaldo's done the job in the team's championship. Paranopoulos has likewise, so they've cancelled each other out there. But what about Eric Tatol and Valadis Corrales? They've both got pressure on their second places at the moment. We could see the situation where nothing changes in that championship, but it would be slightly remarkable to see. Dear Chris Bennett very nearly is changing his front wheel there, because that was a fairly hefty smack into the barriers. A little bit of a break before Roosevelt and Hristov are really able to get going again. Hristov's time won't matter here, of course, but Roosevelt will want to hold on to the win, which he should do with a 5-second lead. And this is the Fiat that looks like it's about to take its second race win of the season. Roosevelt managed it on the Trento Bondone, the longest hill climb of the season, and on one of the shortest, it looks like he's going to return to winning ways. A couple of off races he really has, so it's good to see him back at the top. Sliding about a little bit. It never fails to amaze how close these guys get to the wall. It's a real spectacle for these guys. Well, and for us watching, I suppose. Not a spectacle for driving, it's no doubt a little bit scary at times. Roosevelt in control of his own destiny right now, though. He really is. We've got this fight going on for the second place in Group H. It's hard to see where the real winner's going to come from if Eric Tatol has a clean run, which we presumably will. Second, that's maybe, but one for the top 5 is going to be closer, you'd imagine. We'll talk about that in a few minutes' time. So, Roosevelt is about to complete his run. Mikko Hristov not giving up, but he will be a DNF on the day after not completing his first run up this climb. A shame to see his pace go to waste, it must be said, but Andras Roosevelt wasn't going to be denied today. The Hungarian comes over the line safely. And you could say that that is going to be a pretty much confirmed race victory for him there. It is indeed. Remarkable consistency throughout the day. Only 6 attempts separating his best and worst times. And also pace that is better than anybody else's in this field. And he's going to be winning Group H here today. Eric Tuttle is just begun his run here. A clean run from him would just about do the trick. He's got 2.8 seconds over Sakinas. But the pressure is sort of still on, but an outrageous amount. Morales also begins his run here, trying to hold on to P2 in E1 2000, very important for the championship, that is. Even if Tato does lose out here, the keeper again would only lose 3 points on the day, which would be a big success for them, I think, considering the 42-point lead that they have. It is barely a dint. So, only going to make any difference at all, that, so. We'll see how it plays out, but they're certainly in the driving seat. And these are the two who are helping their teams on the way to what they hope is going to be a championship. What has happened to Rodriguez? Oh no, he's just completed his run, that's all. He's got to the end safely. So no drama for him in E1 2000. Looks like it's going to be another victory. Morales, Sakinas and Tatol all out there at the moment. Aguiron as well in the moment. He's been pretty consistent so far, but is he going to be pushing this one? Oh dear. A little bit of a slide. Could have ended badly, but he's got things nicely under control right now. The final corner, not getting anywhere near to those barriers, just trying to stay. It's hard to stay far away from them, but he's just trying to stay safe as much as possible. That should be enough for him, but Sakinas did show a good burst of speed in that second run, so you never know what he might be able to produce. It's going to have to be an Andres Roosevelt time, really, but he's shown to us that it's not impossible at all, and Sakinas seems to be improving wildly as the session goes on. Here he is in the BMW. I'm sure some of you are pondering a questionable livery choice there, but he's gone for it. Hopefully he is right now. He's driving, goodness. This is Aguiron, I believe. And that's the battle for second in E1 2000, so a couple of battles going on. 31.9 again for Corrales. There need to be something very, very special from Aguiron to displace him. Corrales, of course, does need the points, along with Paranopoulos. He's certainly done all that he can today in more ways than one. More championships than one. Sakinas with a 31.0 is not going to deny Tatola second place there, so good drive from the Frenchman. Limits the damage massively. Just check here over the next few moments about Morales and whether he's going to be second or third. We think it's going to be second, but again, you do never know. And then we've got that battle for fifth in Group H to look at as well. Aguiron over the line, and barring any surprises, Morales is going to be second as well, and there's going to be no gains or losses in the team's championship. The first time we've seen that for a very long time indeed. The two matching each other on points for the first time since the Czech Republic. where they both got a first and second each as well. The 1-2-3 sorted in E1 2000. The attention goes to John Spider and Pedro Barbosa. And also Ludovic Calve can't fall asleep here either. So he's got to maintain fourth position. Barbosa, who's just under 2 seconds behind, and here he is in the Alfa Romeo. Pushing his very hardest right now to get a top 5 finish. He so narrowly missed out on that one 2 weeks ago. 6th place for him. Is John Spider going to snatch that away from him once again? Another Martini livery. We've seen a winning Group H today. Are they going to be 2 in the top 5? This very narrow section, past one of the buildings and right out close to the wall. The last moments being spent on a wider road before the narrow final part. It's that little lay-by on the left-hand side and towards the turning point, but a couple more hairpins to fit in before then. Spider will have already set his time at this point as well, and it's it's very good. It is very good. It wouldn't have been enough for Spider to challenge Roosevelt today, but he certainly missed an opportunity. So Spider gained 8 seconds in the first, but then lost 11.1. So he needs to gain 3.1 or more here. Barbosa needs a 32.5 or better, and that would be his best time of the day by a fair distance if he was to be able to do that and hold on for his first top 5 of the season. It's a 33.0. I don't think it's quite enough. He loses 3.5 seconds, and by less than half a second, Pedro Barbosa is going to miss out on a top 5 again, barring any problems from Ludovic Calve, which there are not. So he manages to hold on to 4th. John Spider grabs the top 5, and it's heartbreak for Barbosa, who's shoved out of that illustrious top 5 again, and he will be finishing 6th for the second round in a row, I'm afraid. Just seeing images of Nelson Simos there. He DNF'd Heat 2. Looks like he's DNF'd Heat 3 possibly as well, with this hit on the barriers. I'm not sure if he did get going again. Doesn't look like he did, unfortunately. Buzetski, Louis Lecroix and also David Depre look like they are, Andy Sulagaretta maybe, our final runners here today. But just to recap all of the results and championship standings as well, of course, before these runs come over and this event draws to a close. Sebastian Renat, for the 10th time in a row, has won a hill climb overall, becoming a regular occurrence, and it has done from the very start of the season, really, second round, when this run began. Mark Best second this time ahead of Francois Corratti, who did a good job even to get to the end today. Those two are now level on the championship, so it's winner takes all out of those two for second place in the E2 3000 category. E1 plus 2000 as Louis Lecroix finishes his run there. Aranopoulos gains points back. He came in with a 16-point deficit at the start, and today he gained 7 for a 9-point disadvantage heading into the final round. Bashador just needs to finish in the top 2, and he will be crowned champion in a couple of weeks' time in Italy. Group H, as always, the most competitive over a particular distance. On a particular event, it's always the most competitive. John Spider's been the most consistent and has been crowned champion, but it wasn't his day today. An incident in Heat 2 meant that he just got a top 5 ahead of Pedro Barbosa. Goodness me, Depre is showing off there a little bit with a donut in Group H, but Barbosa 6th position. Andros Rosenbaum ended up taking the race victory there, or the event victory, ahead of Eric Tuttle, who gained some valuable points for his team's championship, with Nikis Sakanas managing to come home third for what could be the first time this season, because I don't remember him doing so on any of the others. He's actually not had a top 5 yet, so that's a very good effort from the Greek driver to get himself on his first podium of the season. Ludovic Calvet was 4th there. As we know, Spider wrapped up the Group H Championship 2 weeks ago. And finally, Group E1 2000 without the plus has got Javier Rodriguez at the top again. Corrales running in fairly close once more, but what I believe is the 7th time this season they have finished 1 and 2. Gives me the 6th time, but it could well turn into 7 in a couple of weeks' time, with David Aguiron putting in a respectable performance to come home 3rd. That all means that in the Teams Championship, Ekip Regal still lead GSR team by 42 points heading into the final race. There's 50 available for any team to get, so they need at least a win in the 2nd place to GSR team. Ideally, they need Corrales and Tatol to win. They're on different teams. They need Corrales and Paranapoulos to win their categories, and for the other two to have disastrous races. But Renat and Tato are very much in control of that team's championship. But you'll have to come back in a couple of weeks' time to find out what's going to happen and who indeed is going to take home those categories. That is it here for the hill climb on the Buzetski Dani in Croatia. It's been a very entertaining penultimate round to the European Hill Climb Championship for 2021. We'll be back very shortly here on GTR 24H. We've got the Sprint Series coming up starting in December. Make sure you go sign up for that and join us for it as well. It's going to be a wonderful season as always. We're going to be back most recently, though, in a couple of weeks' time for the finale of the European Hill Climb Championship for 2021. So make sure you join us for that. We look forward to seeing you then. But until then, it's goodbye for now.
The 2021 virtual Buzetski Dani Hill Climb is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, A-Stick Sim Sport, ESTV, and MotorVision.tv.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.